So the needle drop, to make sure I'm understanding too, you were doing that to help yourself just get to the break immediately initially
Yeah.
that when you were playing the records.
Yes. And like if I play a record and the break is at the beginning, the break might be 4 bars, it may be 8 bars. When I get tired listening to the break, I would lift the needle back up to the beginning of the record. And as time went by and I kept doing it, it got to the point where I was lifting the needle up and dropping it back. And it was actually sound like it was a loop. Because at first, when I started doing it, I would lift the needle up and then you would hear silence. And then the break would come in. Or if the break was in the middle and I lift the break up, it'd be a couple of bars before it actually comes into the break. So as time went by, all of a sudden I started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, lift the needle up. 1, 2, lift the needle up. 1, lift the needle up. So basically what I was doing, I was lifting the needle up on the 1, sometimes the 2, sometimes the 4, sometimes the 7, sometimes the 6, sometimes the 8, depending upon how many bars the break has. So I've listened to some James Brown breaks, and the break is at the end of the record, and the break is like 8 bars. So I got 8 bars to count. Sometimes I might count 4 bars and lift the needle up, and a record actually sound like it's in a loop. So I was actually counting bars and counting breaks before I even understood what it was.
That's amazing. And tied into something you were saying earlier, when you guys were developing the L Brothers, or as you were growing as the L Brothers, it's so interesting. You were thinking at 12, 13, or pretty young about strategy and like, oh, Waterbed Kev might be able to help our operation. So what do you remember as a kid that made you think of getting bigger, or these aspirations, whatever they were at the time? What made you think of like the bigger picture already, even though you were 12, 13? What was that mindset?
Well, I was born into hip hop. I didn't wake up one day and was like, wow, you know what? I want to do hip hop. I was born into it. From day one, I was born into it. It was all around me. I walked to the store for my mom's. I'd probably be like 7, 8, or 9 years old. And I see graffiti everywhere. Graffiti on the buildings, graffiti on the schools, graffiti on the streets, graffiti on the side of the buildings, graffiti inside the building, graffiti on the train station, graffiti on the trains when they go by, you know? Seeing the B-boys. I might go to a house party and see the B-boys B-boying in the parks, on the streets, in the hallway, you know? And then I might go walk to the corner and hear guys doo-wopping in the stairway, or freestyling in the stairway. All of that is hip hop elements. And when I seen the 2 turntables in a mixer, when I seen Grandmaster Flash and my brother Mean Gene with 2 turntables in a mixer, that's when everything came together, and that's when I knew what my contribution to this art form, to this culture called hip hop. I understood that this was going to be my contribution, and I was a part of something, that I didn't know that I was a part of. That's why I say earlier, I was born into this, man. You know.
So as being able, it's one thing to have the gift, it's another thing to apply it, and it's another thing to be willing and understand how to learn from others. So with Grandmaster Flash, and as you guys were progressing and he was making tapes, you started making tapes, how did you, what specifically were you learning from him, and how did you apply that to the tapes you were making?
Well, what I learned from Grandmaster Flash and my brother Mean Gene, I've learned like how they hook the equipment up, how they, make a transition from one record to the other, and stuff like that. When they, just uh how they tried to maintain everything that they was doing. Like going and picking out records and making sure they had the right speakers, the right microphones. When it's time for them to do a party, they will call the graffiti artist, and the graffiti artist would draw them up a flyer and stuff like that. I learned about a lot of breaks. I learned about them playing disco music and playing music that was on American Bandstand, that was on Soul Train and stuff like that. I learned a lot of that stuff from them. And when we formed the L, when Flash went his way, and my brother Mean Gene went his way, DJs were making like a transition. There was a transition going on then when everybody started forming their own crew and stuff like that. Flash was extending breaks. He was doing the backspin clock theories and stuff like that. He was very fast on the turntables and stuff like that. He started using earphones and stuff like that. He was able to, make his own QE system and stuff like that. And then you had me. I was only a 12-year-old kid, and in order for me to play on the turntables, I had to stand on top of a milk crate at one time. So I was also able to extend breaks, and I wasn't doing too much backspinning and stuff like that. I would lift the needle up and do the needle drop instead of doing the backspin and stuff like that. And people started to see that my skills as a DJ got better and better and better. I basically created my own style and basically created my own lane as a DJ. That's why I became so popular so fast, because I was doing something that hardly nobody was doing other than Flash.
Right. Okay. So then, what made with Fantastic Five versus, like, why did that progress in a way or in a different way? Would you say than the L Brothers? Why did that kind of happen differently instead of L Brothers becoming as big as Fantastic in a way?
Well, my brother Mean Gene and Cordie-O, we had different outlook on how we wanted to do things. You know, um, my mind was racing so fast. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do as a DJ. I wanted to um, take myself to another level. I had different plans than what my brothers had, and once we were all living with my moms, and once my moms decided to move, that's when my brother Mean Gene, he went and got his own place, and my mom's took myself and my little sister along with her, because I was only, I think, about 14 years old, something like that.
Okay.
14, 50 years old. I was still staying with my mom's. And I decided that I needed to um, take myself in a different direction. So being that I had Kevin Rob with me, we just decided that we needed some more MCs so that we can form a group. I think forming a group, we can make a major impact on everything. With Grandwizzard Theodore cutting up breaks and the MCs with their routines and their dance steps, I think that we could have made a big impact on everything. And my brother Mean Gene and Cordie-O, they decided to do something else, and I decided that I need to branch out and do my own thing, and that's what I did. I mean, we were still L Brothers because L Brothers stands for Livingston, so we were still L Brothers and stuff like that. It's just that I needed to do things a little bit different, and I needed to reach a little bit farther out, for myself, you know.
And what were their Mean Gene and Cordie-O? What were their goals or objectives? What did they want to do that was different?
Well, my brother Cordie-O, he was down with disco beat. which is eventually became one of Flash's other DJs. My brother Mean Gene, he slowed down. He seemed like he wasn't really too much interested in doing it no more, as far as DJing is concerned. He slowed down. He really didn't show too much interest, you know. And me myself, being a young Grandwizzard Theodore, I had so many plans, and I was just ready to go full speed ahead at what I wanted to do. And being that he slowed down and doing what he was doing, I needed to do what I needed to do if I wanted to stay in this game. So that's what happened with that.
That'll do it. So then, how did the opportunity for "Can I Get a Soul Clap" come around?
Johnny Soul, which owned the record shop on 125th Street between Park and Madison, and he approached us and was like, "Look, we want to do a record with you guys." And we were like, "Sure, sure, let's do a record." And we really didn't have the money to actually go and do anything. You had Enjoy Records, you had Sylvia Robinson. I think they had signed a Flash and Funky Four and all of them. And we tried to get a meeting with them, but somehow we never was able to, get a record deal with them, and it's all good. So when we did the Can I Get a Soul Clap, we was just wanted to put out something, put out a record to show everyone that we are ready to record, and hopefully that record can get out and get into the ears of someone that really, really wanted to sign us and stuff like that. So, doing a soul clap, really opened our eyes up to a lot of the stuff as far as being in the studio and dealing with producers and record companies and stuff like that.
Okay, so Johnny Soul, I remember, is listed as the producer on there. So did he help make the music, or how did that work?
Well, when we went to the studio, we didn't have no music. We didn't have anything. All we had was a bunch of musicians. You had the musicians on one side of the room, and then you had me and the Fantastic Five on the other side of the room. And we standing there looking at each other like, okay, is there any ideas? What do you want to do? Is there anything you want to do? So we really didn't. We went in the studio and we really didn't have a plan of what kind of record we wanted to do. And being that Fantastic Five had all of these routines written down, we basically just, put a couple of routines here, a couple of routines here, chop this up, chop that up, and that's what we basically did. And that's how we came up with Can I Get a Soul Clap?
Okay, because I remember my dad didn't listen to KC and the Sunshine Band, so when I heard you guys saying to do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight, I thought it was you guys. And then when I heard KC and the Sunshine, I was like, oh.
Yeah, man, we love KC and the Sunshine Band, man. Sure, definitely we did, definitely.
Yeah.
And then we also, I think we did some stuff from Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think on there too. So we basically just wanted to put out a record because most of all the groups that came out after us were actually recording records, and we didn't get to record anything. And I was like, look, fellas, y'all got to start writing some records. We need to put out a record to take us to that next level, because we were one of the only groups out there that didn't have a record out.
Right.
And they got to the point where people are like, well, if you ain't got a record out, then what are we coming to the party to listen to you guys for? You had the Treacherous Three, you had the Crash Crew, you had the Funky Four plus one more, you had Grandmaster Flash and all of them. Everybody had a record out except Grandwizzard Theodore and the Fantastic Five. but we were still doing parties. We were still traveling around everywhere because we was a powerhouse group, man. We was powerhouse group. And they was probably saying, please don't let these guys put a record out. You know, but when we put out Soul Clap, we was just like, very happy that, we finally put a record out and stuff like that. It didn't do what I thought it was going to do, but at least we put something out,
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.